This episode, 131, is all about a little Spanish village very close to Seville that most people haven't heard of. We tell you the story about how we heard about it and the famous TV personality who recommended we go and who we actually met there. We also tell you about the history and why Julius Caesar was engrossed with Carmona. We enjoyed time around the local plaza, including following an ancient procession with ox-drawn carriages. We did a history tour and we share with you about the massive homes that you can see in Carmona and why they are so big and so close to the cathedral. Listen to the end to hear how we finally found out why there were no people around when we were having dinner and how we eventually found the nightlife. If you want to see all the pictures from Carmona, then click the link to episode 131 in the podcast player you're listening on now. Please enjoy episode 131 of the Beach Travel Wine Podcast. Good morning, Lyle. How are you today?
Buen dia, Leonita.
As you can tell, we are still in Spain. And as I said on intro, we've got a very interesting little city and some funny little stories for you today. So where are we?
We're in Carmona.
Okay, well, do you want to tell us a little bit about Carmona, please?
Carmona is a town in southwestern Spain in the province of Seville. It lies 33 kilometres northeast of Seville. Carmona
It's pretty close, yeah.
Yeah, it's not far at all.
In fact, I'd say a lot of people live there and travel to Seville for work, yeah.
Oh, for sure. Carmona is built on a ridge overlooking the central plain of Andalucia. To the north is Sierra Morena, with the peak of San Cristobal in the south.
I must admit, when we were driving in there, I was surprised to see this village sitting on top of a hill. It wasn't what I was expecting.
53 metres above sea level.
Yeah, so you're right down there at the bottom of the hill and up you go and you're right on the top of the ridge. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, because it's only 33k from Seville, there's no trains that go there. There's 4 ways to get there. There's the bus, the local bus. There's a taxi, and there's rideshare.
Yep.
And also, obviously, a car. You booked a cab?
I booked a taxi, through booking.com to take us from our accommodation to our accommodation. I'm glad we did, because if we'd have got the bus, it was right over on the other side and the cobblestone streets and up hills and things. It would have been quite difficult. So, think about that if you're going there for a visit.
Yeah, and you've really only just started booking the cabs through booking.com, haven't you? And you haven't had any drama with it?
It's been great.
Yeah. So now I think we'll probably just give you a bit of a brief history of Carmona. The town was first settled by the Tartessians and the Turdetarians. They were an ancient pre-Roman people of the Iberian Peninsula living in the valley of the Guadalquivir,
which is the big river that runs through Seville.
Correct.
Yes.
And later became a Phoenician trading post. During the Roman rule, Carmona, known as Carmo, was a fortified city and a major stronghold in Hispania. It was considered one of the strongest cities in the region, even receiving special attention from Julius Caesar. After the Roman period, Carmona was under Moorish control for several centuries. The Moors called it Carmona, further fortified the city, building walls and palaces. In 1247, Ferdinand III of Castile conquered Carmona, and the city was subsequently favoured by later Christian monarchs, particularly Peter I, who transferred the Moorish Alcazar into the royal residence. Carmona was granted city status in 1630 by Felipe IV. During the late Middle Ages, rivalry between noble houses like the Ponce de Leon and Guzman families played out within Carmona. The families vied for power and control in the town, and their actions had a notable impact on the development and political landscape. Carmona's economy in the early modern period was largely agriculture based, with large estates often owned by non-local landholders. This economic structure could have concentrated wealth and power in the hands of these landlords, further contributing to the influence of wealthy families.
Very good history.
Thank you.
Talking about the roads, I think we'll do that a bit later, but you said it had special attention from Caesar. It was because it was so fortified
Yep.
and up on a hill, so it had great vantage point, and it was on the main road or trading route from Cadiz, right down in the south of Spain,
Correct.
through to Rome. And
Correct.
people would bring their carriages and wares inside the city and close it up, and they were safe in there on their travels. Yeah,
Correct.
yeah. So you can see why, because it's up high on the ridge and the
Well, yeah. In other words, you can also see if there's any threats coming towards
Exactly,
you.
yeah.
You've got all that room, and the views from where Carmona is, they're pretty outstanding. I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful agricultural country.
It is really nice, and they'd had some rain, and there were some sunflowers and pink fields of wildflowers. It looked like it was really pretty. Now, so why did we go to Carmona? Huh? Well, here's the story. Well, we watch lots of travel shows, especially by Michael Portillo, because he does a lot on Spain. His father was Spanish. And so we quite like his shows, right? And one he did was all about Andalucia. And he finished the show with Seville and Carmona. And Carmona, he highly recommends, and he actually has a house there. And it looked nice, and we're going to be in Seville. And we thought, well, why not go and have a few days in Carmona and check it out? So we did that, right? And so, as Lyle said, we get our taxi. It drops us off at our accommodation, and we dump our bags. We haven't eaten all day, and it's only a short walk into the main area in town. And basically, it's a square, which is actually a circle, but there's not much open. There's 2 cafe bars in one corner with umbrellas up. It's quite warm. So we go over there and we sit down at a table. And there's probably 4 tables with people at them. And right next to us is a table of about 6 people, our age, a bit older. So we order some food, order a cold drink. And I look down and right across and from me is a guy sitting at the end of the table. And I thought, that's Michael Portillo, but I wasn't sure. It looked like him, but his face looked a bit thinner. I'm like, well, people say you put on weight on TV. I don't know. Very similar, but I wasn't convinced. So I said to Lyle, what do you think? And he said, oh, yeah, that does look Michael Portillo. Yeah, it is. I'm like, oh, wow. And so I sort of sat back for a minute, and then someone else leaned in from the side of the table that I couldn't see. And that's when I knew definitely that the guy at the end of the table wasn't Michael Portillo, but his brother by the likeness.
Yeah.
But the guy who leaned forward with his green hat and his orange shirt was definitely Michael Portillo. He looked exactly like he did on TV. And
so Liam was starstruck.
Well, I was like, what a coincidence. We've come because he recommended it. We sit down and
within an hour of
right?
us actually arriving.
Yes. And
there he is. It was almost like he was waiting to meet you.
Anyway, so I did. I went over and said hello.
Of course you did.
Well, I was really, really pleasant. And his wife was there and she was very pleasant. And I just said, we came, here because of you and we love your show. And I got a photo. And I wasn't stalkerish at all. I didn't follow him around the Carmona the rest of the time we were there or anything.
Although he did say when you parted ways, I'll see you around.
Yeah, he did. They told us they had some other friends coming from Australia and they love Australia. So it was nice. It was just like one of those random things that happened. But let's go back now, though. So we had a lunch. I think they left before us. I don't know. Anyway, that was it. It was our meeting with Michael Portillo. And we went back to our accommodation, which is a lovely hotel, which is the Alcázar de la Reina, which used to be an old convent. Yeah.
Yes.
And it had the most beautiful swimming pool in the courtyard. And thank goodness, because it was very hot and we spent a lot of time by the pool. But
yeah, it was over, I think every day we were there, it was over 40 degrees.
Yeah. But they had lots of shade at the pool, which was great for us. But there was a lot of English people there.
Very well spoken. Yeah. Like it was almost like being on one of those movie sets because they were just so well spoken, so polite,
so posh, and they're talking about their book launches and and the ballet and the opera.
Liam and I were definitely out of our league.
But I was talking to a lady. I helped her because it was so hot she needed a shoe, so I went and got a shoes for her.
That's right, I do remember.
And her name was Gillian, and she said, oh, you're from Australia? And I went, yes. And she said, well, we're all here. We're all connected through the ballet and the opera and so on. And we're all here for Michael Portillo's birthday weekend.
75th.
So they were all there for his birthday. And he and his wife had organised something every day. So the first day it was a costume and they were all dressed up. The next one was like a tropical theme. What it meant was everyone else in the hotel was not there.
So we had the pool to ourselves.
The pool to ourselves, yeah. And next to our pool was a little button that you pressed and, you just put 2 fingers up and the lady knew we wanted 2 cervezas. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Look, the hotel Well, probably now's as good as any time to talk about. What did you like about the hotel?
The pool. We
No,
just said that before.
what else?
That's all.
Oh, so what about the food?
Oh, okay. Well, the restaurant was attached to the hotel was nice too.
Yeah, the food was good.
Yeah.
The
It's just a lovely, lovely old-fashioned hotel, historic. I mean.
well, I thought the rooms were big.
Yeah.
They were very, very clean. We got fresh towels every day. And there was one particular meal. There was a lobster ravioli we had in the restaurant there. And Gabriella looked after us. She was fabulous. So, yeah, a great hotel.
It
Highly
was.
recommend to stay.
Yes, and lovely views, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. So that's why we went to Carmona, and that's my little story of meeting Michael Portillo. And so that was our first day, really. And then the next day we get up and we decide to do a private little, not private as in us, but a
Private operator.
Yes, private operator, a little small bus tour, because the streets are so narrow and to get in and around the streets, and it was so hot, we thought we'll do this, and it was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was 20 Australian dollars per person, cash. Well, it was actually €20, which turns out to be at $20 a person, Australian. Look, it was great. He specialised in history, and so we decided to catch it. And he explained how Carmona's population is split between 4,000 people in the old town and 25,000 people in the new town.
And I just to reiterate, we were staying in the old town.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
He also showed us and explained the historical importance of the Roman gates to the city, that the roads within the city ran north-south. The Seville Gate, and at the other end was the Puerta de Cordoba at the other entrance to the city.
So there was 4 gates and the roads crisscrossed. And there was, as you said, Seville, Cordoba, or north-south, and east-west.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was sort of the grid of the old town, yeah?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So, and they're very impressive. The 2 gates that are still there, the north and the south. This is episode 131. So on beachtravelwine.com, go to the latest podcast, and you will see I've got some really nice pictures of all the things, and me with Michael Portillo as well. But especially of the gates, because I was really impressed with those. Yeah.
During another stop at the Iglesia de Santa Maria de la Anunciación, which is Carmona's cathedral. Now, it was Leanne and I actually did go inside at one stage. We got it for free.
We got the senior discount.
We got the senior discount, which was $3.80.
Yeah.
The tour guide discussed the rivalry between the wealthy families and how prestigious it was to live next to the cathedral.
So we pulled up near the church, and he points out these big homes, yes? We'd walked around the city quite a bit and seen these big buildings and had no idea
what
they were single homes.
Yeah. So, and he explained how the first house that was built, or castle that was built, was 1,500 square metres, which was basically a palace.
Yeah, so you can walk out the door of that palace straight across to the cathedral.
Yeah, across the road.
Yeah.
So then the rivalry between these families was so bad that the next house that was built by another family was actually 2,000 square metres.
Yeah, that's right. So, and it was on the other side. So they could see each other. The homes could see each other. They're sort of diagonally opposite, but they're both open their doors across the road to the church.
And then on one of the other sides, you've got a 4,000 square metre home.
So they just got bigger and bigger.
And bigger.
So basically all the buildings around the church, a whole block is a house or palace or whatever you want to call it. And you'd have no idea. It was fascinating, wasn't it?
Most of those houses, apart from the 4,000 square metre one, which is now
a museum. They couldn't afford to keep doing the maintenance of it, yes.
Yeah, so, but the other 2 are still owned by the original families, and they only get used, I think, during summer break or something like that. But, we walked past them. We had no idea what they were.
But also we went inside the church.
Yeah, the church itself is a late Gothic priority church, notable for its impressive size and mixed architectural styles. Built on the site of a former mosque, it showcases Gothic and Renaissance elements with a Baroque Puerta del Sol and a sacramental chapel. And the ablutions courtyard from the mosque period is still preserved.
Yeah, so as you go into the cathedral, you go through a courtyard which has got the Arab arches, but also the cobblestones and the orange trees. So it's not a big area, but that's really beautiful, shady. And then you go into the main entrance of the cathedral, which is quite substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice little visit, I thought.
As we moved along the very narrow cobblestone streets, he showed us quite a lot of very substantial homes, along with some smaller abandoned homes that had limited facilities and were no longer suitable to live in.
So what he was saying was that back in the day, these houses didn't have proper plumbing or water. And so as more and more workers were needed, and more people came to town, what they did was they started building homes outside the city walls.
Yeah, which is now the new town.
The new town. So they had much better facilities in there. So when I'll say, talking about the going through the cobblestone streets, I've got a picture of the little train we were on, and you can see basically the revision mirrors are almost touching the side of the walls. And some of these streets are two-way streets. Like it's just,
it's crazy.
It's insane. The reason the streets are so narrow is obviously for the shade, and the closer they are together, the more shade they got, which kept things cool. Yeah. And so we're able to go places that a lot of. There was another tour operator that was bigger, and he couldn't get in and out those small streets, and he stopped quite often, and for us to have views. Say, look behind you now, and you've got one of the church steeples right at the end of the street, and just some really lovely old buildings. We saw so much, even though we'd walked around and around, saw so much on this tour.
Yeah, and the other thing that, like, we talked about the abandoned home, but some of the villas that are there now, like the big homes, they're enormous.
Yeah.
But again, they're walled,
yes,
so you can't see inside.
Yes.
But yeah, he pointed out one from a hilltop. I think it was near the Parador, which was the next stop, and you look down, and it was magnificent.
Yeah, full of gardens. I think, like he said, it had like 7 courtyards and all sorts of things. So you don't know the wealth that's in this little city.
Yeah,
at all.
But it's all through agriculture.
Sure. Yeah. So you're right. We did go past the Parador, which is a very popular Parador in Spain.
Yeah. Now that was formerly the Alcazar of Carmona, a fortress palace with a rich history, initially built by the Moors and later transformed by King Pedro I into a royal residency. It once featured a combination of defensive structures like walls and towers with a palatial interior that was ornately decorated. And it's got stunning views of that Andalusian.
It's right on the edge, isn't it?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that was also destroyed in
an earthquake. The big one, Lisbon one.
Lisbon, I think it was 1755.
Okay.
So, and it's obviously been rebuilt, and that was the only other hotel with a swimming pool.
Yeah, it was. So after the Parador, he took us down past where we were staying, the Alcazar de la Reina, and told us about being an old convent. But one thing he told us about, which we didn't know, because we'd been right out the front, is once again beautiful views down over the valley. But one of the things we're looking at was a Roman quarry, wasn't it?
Yeah, the old Roman quarry.
That was pretty cool, I thought. And we went obviously out in the morning and came home at night, and the views always changed. It was really, I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, the one thing about Carmona, and we talked about it at the time. It's all about the history.
Yeah,
it is. It's really about the history. So we were actually, our last history lesson for the day, which was the last stop, was the Plaza de San Fernando.
Which is the plaza where we first met Michael and had lunch, yes?
Yeah, which was originally served as the Forum of the Roman Carmo. The plaza is located at the intersection of Cardo Maximus and Decumanus Maximus, which is those two roads you were talking about earlier.
Yes, so the north to south road and the east to west road, they cross there, and that's where they had the Roman Forum, as you just said, there in the plaza area.
Yeah, surrounding the plaza,
there's a lot of beautiful buildings.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, buildings surrounding the plaza date back from the 16th and 19th centuries, with a notable concentration of 16th century structures on the west side, including the Antigua Audiencia, which is the old court, the convent of Madre Dios, and the Mudahar-style house.
And that still had all its original tiles on it and had a bar underneath, which, of course, we had a drink at.
And we did. I reckon there probably would have been at least 6 different bars around the plaza, and we had a drink at all of them.
Now, as I said earlier, the plaza is very quiet. Obviously, it's very hot in the middle of the day, but come nighttime, and after we've been out for a drink or dinner, you come to the plaza, and there's got seats all the way around it's actually a circle, as I said, and at each of those seats are generally older people.
Yep.
They're out walking and they sit down. A lot of them take their dogs for a walk. There's families with prams and things, and then in the middle there's kids playing with their soccer ball.
Yeah. And obviously everybody knows everybody.
Yeah. It has a very community atmosphere, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, once again, back at our hotel, talking to my friend Gillian, she was telling me about a procession that was going to happen the next morning at 10 o'clock at the plaza. And she just said it's very beautiful. But so we went, and it was very historic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Well, I looked this up.
Yeah, because we needed to, because I didn't understand what it was.
We were lucky enough to witness the Pilgrim Fraternity of Carmona, also known as the Brotherhood of the Holy Burial. Has a history rooted in the town's rich religious traditions and its experience of the Spanish Reconquista. The fraternity's origins are linked to a 1521 pilgrimage to Seville by 1,500 residents of Carmona who sought divine intervention for rain.
So it started with the guys on the horses.
Yeah,
and
the horses were magnificent.
Sort of blocking the streets. And then the first part of the procession to come was like a band of children, and the guy that was with them, and they're playing like little, I'd say, call them recorders, and playing the drums, and they've got their costumes on.
Both the adults and the kids had traditional dress on, and they all had the fraternity medallion on, and it was we're talking kids from knee-high to a grasshopper,
families,
to probably some of the more senior adults in the town. The girls,
they had their flamenco style dresses on,
and that again, from children up to mums and grandmothers, and it just looked magnificent.
And then they had carts that were being pulled by the
oxen,
and all highly decorated. Once again, photos at beachtravelwine.com, episode 131. I've got the kids band, I've got the fashion, I've got the carts being pulled by the oxen, and then they all go down to the church that we mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah.
And the cart and the oxen wait outside while they do their service inside, and then they come back and they go take the cross that they're carting around the city back to its original spot. So it's a huge day for Carmona. Yeah. And we happened to be there on that day, which was really cool.
And the thing I found fascinating is that they actually, the guys that are looking after the oxen, they are dressed in traditional farming gear, right? Yeah. And it's quite colourful and that sort of thing. But what they've got to do is they've actually got to back the oxen back out around these narrow street. Seriously,
yeah.
As Leanne said, it's
3-point reverse turn.
Yeah, with the oxen. And
back a bit, come forward, back a bit.
Forward. It was unbelievable. And these oxen were huge.
Yeah, they were.
It was really good.
Yeah, that was a nice. It took a couple of hours, and we followed it down, and it was really cool. That was a lot of fun. And then obviously we went back to the pool, and Michael and all his friends went off somewhere else. I think they were going to a winery that day. So we once again, I don't know how many books I read those few days, but it was the pool was just amazing. I've got a picture of that as well, of course, which of course I would have. But another thing, Niall, that we found a bit odd about Carmona is, well, it was quiet because most people were off at Michael Portillo's things, but we would go out and walk around and think, where is everybody for dinner? You know, there's other hotels. Where is everyone? We'd go to a restaurant sometimes and there'd be 3 or 4 people there and just us. And I don't know.
Actually, remember, I actually asked one of the waitresses, why is it so quiet? Does it ever get busy? And she looked at me like I had two heads. She said, "Well, everybody's asleep." Like that was like 8:30 at night.
So we decided after we'd eaten, it cooled down, let's go for a bit of a walk and let's see if we can go somewhere different and have a drink. And we're wandering around the streets and we could hear, sounded like a couple of parties going on. I'm like, everyone's heading up this hill. Where are they going? Anyway, turns out, you're right. People don't go out to 10 o'clock at night. And there were a street which basically had half a dozen of these just in this one area of bars, tapas bars, just full of people. In fact, there were people lining up to get in.
Correct.
And we were just blown away. We just like, okay, why didn't we discover this earlier? So what we did is we made a booking for the next night because you got to book to get a table or line up. And the guy said to us, come back at 9:30. We open it then. And so we did, and we were still the first ones there. Yeah. And I said to Lyle, I'm not going until the place is full and we get the experience.
She did say that. So I just had to have another glass of wine.
We had wine and some nice tapa.
Oh, look, the place you're talking about was called, and it was my favourite, was the Casa Mingalario. And we probably had too much to eat. But
we ordered 4 tapas.
We ordered 4 tapas and 2 would have been plenty.
Sure.
But we had the prawn pilpil, which is basically garlic prawns, the pork cheek, what they call the duck mousse, which is pate in our language, and fried vegetables. The fried vegetables were just magnificent.
There's one little bar inside and they're pumping out the food and it's all locals. It's not many tourists in Carmona.
And the second night we went, remember they had the football on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's typical local bar, but the food was magnificent. The wine was cheap.
So I guess my takeaways from Carmona would be, if you don't have a car, you're going to need to get yourself a private taxi. You probably don't need to we had 4 nights. You could probably just have a couple of nights. You need to be there at night because that's when all the action sort of happens around the food and the plaza and that sort of stuff. If you're just doing a couple of hours from Seville, you might get the history and be able to walk around the cobblestone streets, but you're going to miss that atmosphere for sure. And it does have really nice food and wine available there and beautiful views. So, a couple of days is a good idea to have in Carmona from Seville, yeah?
Yeah, for sure.
And I would say too, you need to go and have a glass of wine at your favourite spot, which was?
Casa Mingalario.
There we go.
Casa Mingalario, for sure. Yeah. I loved it. And they were so friendly. Yeah. When I made the booking for the reservation for the following night, he couldn't have been more patient with my trying to speak Spanish. That was great. Perfect.
And I would say one of my favourites was, well, maybe not necessarily wine, but definitely having a cold beer by the pool at our accommodation.
Yeah. No, the pool was fabulous.
Yeah. So, it was a great, interesting city, as I said, lots of great food and accommodation was spectacular. And what I'll do is in the show notes at beachtravelwine.com, episode 131, I'll have all the photos of, what we've talked about, the big houses, the church, the views, the tour, Michael Portillo and me, of course, and also a link to the accommodation that we stayed in. Yeah, if anyone's interested, they can have a look at that. So anything else you want to add about our few days in Carmona?
No.
That's it. All right. Well, until somewhere else in Spain, it's adios from me.
And it's adios from me.